Hare Krishna. Question from Ravikant Jagtap Prabhu. Why do religions like Islam and Christianity allow meat eating? Some of my friends tell me that it is written in the Quran that one is not Muslim who doesn't eat meat in 40 days, and a cow is created by Allah for eating. Is it true? Answer: certainly all religions have allowances for meat eating. What to speak of Christianity and Islam, those allowances are present even in the Vedic culture. So that's why we have the rituals where yajnas are done, and when animals are killed, often their meat is eaten. So meat eating is never recommended or glorified or instructed, mandated in any of the traditions. Certainly not in the Vedic tradition. In yajnik context also, where animals are to be sacrificed, Manusmriti and other scriptures talk about how instead of using a real animal, one can make a clay replica of an animal and also kill it. So the point is that this general human propensity to want to eat meat, and that is allowed, but that is never mandated. Now, with respect to Christianity, I have answered separately the question about whether Jesus ate and whether he distributed fish. That was in an emergency, and it was only on one occasion. So he just manifested one fish and then expanded it, and through it he satisfied everyone else. He did not open a slaughterhouse. So in an emergency, that is allowed in the Vedic culture also. That's called apad dharma. Now if we look at Islam, now some people say that actually it is our religious mandate to kill cows and it is essential for us, otherwise we will not be proper Muslims. Now from the sheer logistics perspective, there are so many countries in the world, say Malaysia, Indonesia, even many other countries in the Middle East, where there are not so many cows present that the Muslims can actually slaughter the cows and eat their meat. So are all the Muslims in all the parts of the world where there are no cows and the cows are not being slaughtered by them, are they not Muslims just because they're not killing cows? No, it is not at all true like that. In many ways, the cow killing was fueled by political power-hungry people who wanted to use religious communal tensions for their own purposes. So certainly, cow culling is not mandated. Now let's look at some references in the Quran to this end. In general, within the Quran, the overall tenor of the teachings is respect for all life. So for example, in 24:41 surah in the Quran it said, seest thou not that it is Allah whose praise all beings in the heavens and on earth do celebrate, and the birds of the air with wings outspread, each one knows its own mode of prayer and praise, and Allah knows well all that they do. So here we see respect for animals. And then in Bukhari it is said that when Prophet was asked whether kindness to animals is rewarded in life hereafter, he said yes, there is meritorious reward for kindness to every living creature. And then the Quran also in 6.38 says that it considers animals to be like human beings who have community. There's not an animal on earth, nor a bird that flies on its wings, but they are communities like you. And in the Muslim it is said that may Allah condemn the one who branded the animal. So the Holy Prophet, he saw a donkey branded on his face and he forbade that. So even animal baiting and blood sports, so in Abu Dawud and Tirmidhi, it is said that the Holy Prophet forbade the setting of animals to fight against each other. So like that, I have put a series of quotes over here, which are against caging and against vivisection. Vivisection means cutting of animals. So now, if we look at the overall tenor of the teachings, there is kindness which is being talked about. So now, is it compulsory to eat meat? And let's look at a place where the Quran says that actually meat eating is allowed, but there also it doesn't say it is mandated. So in Surah 6:145 it is said, I find not in the message received by me by inspiration any meat forbidden to be eaten by one who wishes to eat it. So meat is not forbidden, but it is not mandated. So the implication of the statement is that if somebody wants to eat it, if somebody wishes to eat it, that person is allowed. So now Muhammad was living in the deserted area at that time, and there was not much grains that could be grown in that area at that particular time, and that's why the meat eating was largely allowed. That was the way people were living, and that's the way he allowed people to live. Now, along with saying that meat is not forbidden, there is regulation indicated in various ways. For example, it is said that pig should not be killed. Now, it's not that Islam considers pig to be a particularly sacred animal that it should not be killed. The point is that the whatever be the cultural specifics why pig is forbidden. The point is there is a restriction that this animal should not be eaten. So that restriction is indicative of the point that this whole thing is not necessarily something which is instructed. And even with respect to killing animals, in 5.3 in the Quran it said you are prohibited to eat flesh, blood and other things of a dead animal that is cut without reciting the names of Allah, or is killed after severe beating, or is brutally slaughtered, or someone else has executed it, or it is dead due to fall, or some wild beast has eaten some of its chunk, or it is cut on a rock, or it is given a sacrifice, or it is killed by a sharp arrow. The Quran declares such meat of such animals to be prohibited. So there are various conditions. So now most Muslims today eat meat that comes from slaughterhouses. Either there will be big mechanized slaughterhouses or there will be individual slaughterhouses. So in very few, if any of these cases, the meat will be following the conditions which are given over here. So then there are two kinds of meat. There is halal and there is haram. There is meat which is allowed and halal, and that is not allowed, that is haram. So when the meat is not done cut according to these conditions, then it becomes haram meat. And haram meat, it is said that one will have to bear the consequences in the afterlife for that, even according to Quran. So that now while killing the animals, the process of sacrifice should be completed within 3 strokes of a knife, and the kalma has to be recited once while striking every time. And it is essential to move the knife around the neck without hitting any bones. The food that the animal had before the sacrifice should not come out, and there shouldn't be any noise before cutting the animal. And if any of the above isn't followed, the meat in the sacrifice becomes unlawful, it becomes haram. So if you look at all these conditions, all of them are basically representative of the point that meat eating should be conditional. That these are the times when meat eating can be done, and other times it cannot be done, it should not be done. So overall tenor of the teachings is, on one side, kindness towards animals. On the other side, along with kindness towards animals, there is also the restriction of meat eating by delineation of various conditions in which meat can be eaten. And in this way, the overall tenor is definitely not mandating or necessitating meat eating. It is towards regulating meat eating. So that allowance of meat eating is there because people are addicted to meat eating, and certain economic, social-cultural circumstances may make meat eating essential. But that is by no means a religious obligation that people have to eat meat. So that is up to, and even most Islamic thinkers agree. There are many Islamic thinkers who also say that vegetarianism would be far more compatible with the overall teachings of Islam, and almost no Islamic teacher says that it's absolutely essential to eat meat, especially the person who is well read in the Quran. So overall, we shouldn't, when we talk with people of other religions like Islam, we don't want to get into a quotes war, because quotes are in many ways endlessly malleable. The quotes can be translated in different ways and they can be interpreted in different ways. The important point is that we are not here to debate what the teachings of the Quran are. So our point is that there are certain human values, and one human value is compassion, and that compassion is also talked about in the Vedic literature as well as in the other religious literature, including the Quran. So nowadays there are even scientific and logical reasons why one should abstain from meat eating, and using one's reasoning faculty is also considered to be an important aspect in Quran. It is called as learning from intellect or reason, is known as qiyas. So we can and most people, even those people who claim to be following Islam and Quran, and they quote the Quran, often they are in their personal lives more influenced by logic and facts than by the Quran. So those who are hardliners, they will never change, but those who are open-minded, we can at least tell them that vegetarianism is entirely compatible with the Quran, and it is in fact in many ways desirable according to the Quran. And from the point of view of logic, and there is an article which I have written on 4 reasons to turn towards vegetarian. It is help, eat to help the world. HELP is health, environment, livestock, and poverty. So you can show that article also to people who are considering this issue in an open-minded way, and help them to move towards a more enlightened mode of eating. Thank you. Hare Krishna.